Kaytlyn Nadjiwon.
Yeah.
Thanks for talking to me today.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I always like to start off talking to people about childhood. It's a big part of forming who we become as adults. So let's talk about you as a kid.
Oh, big topic. My childhood was pretty bad generally. My actual parents, my mom and my dad, really loved me, and they were also just really all over the place. So I did a lot of bouncing back and forth between the houses, and at my dad's house it was unsafe because of his partner being abusive, and at my mom's house it was unsafe because of her addictions and the people that she had around. So I spent a lot of time alone. I was lucky though, my mom was so proud of me, anything I did. So I remember I used to help her. She worked at a tanning salon for a bit, and I would write little poems on business cards and laminate them using the tanning membership card laminator and stuff. Or I'd write a poem and then she'd type it up and print it off on silly paper and frame it. So she was always stoked on what I made, whatever it was. So that's always been a positive connotation with creativity. And then at my dad's, I just was trying to avoid being around anyone all the time. So I just kind of hid in my room, read books over and over again, practiced my handwriting, just kind of random stuff to keep myself busy. I did a lot of making cards for family members, and I'm known as the card person in the family. I used to put a lot of effort into making them, but now it's mostly the writing itself. So yeah, childhood was not my favorite time in my life. Probably wouldn't go back for any amount of money. But it did kind of prepare me. Things didn't really get easier as I got older either. So yeah, I don't know what else to say there.
Well, let's maybe go there. As you got older, so things got worse.
Yeah. I guess I had at a certain point decided that I wasn't going to keep going back and forth, that I was no longer, no matter what happened, going back to my dad's because of his wife at the time. And it sucked so bad. But I moved to my mom's house for it was the fourth time during my high school. So there's lots of back and forth. And then her house burned down, legit, a month after I moved. And I remember my dad showing up to come and get me, and I was I'm not going anywhere. So I just I actually couch surfed for all of grade 12. There was some really generous people who let me stay with them for a couple months at a time here and there. And throughout my studies, I just kind of knew, or I had been told that the way out of these kinds of cycles was to go to university. So I kind of just had my head down and did as much as I could to get there. So yeah, miraculously I did it. I used to think it wasn't a big deal, but now I'm oh my God, I was just a kid. When you're in it, you feel so much older somehow, or more mature than you actually were. And yeah, so when I came to Ottawa for school, I actually didn't want to be in Ottawa. I wanted to go as far away as I could. And so I had applied for my native status, and I thought for sure I was going to get it. I did all the paperwork. I followed up a lot. And then I found out at the end of applying, or the end of my school year, that because of a specific bill that was passed, my grandfather, even though like it's the right blood quantum technically between like my grandfather, my mom, and then me, he enfranchised, and when they gave back his status, it made him like a lesser Indian. And so his status was then only allowed to pass one generation. So all of my mom and all of her siblings are all status, and I'm not. So that was like devastating because I wanted to go to Queens. Really glad I didn't in hindsight, but I wanted to go to Queens, or I wanted to go to like a castle far away, you know, to do like the English program. And then, yeah, it was just kind of more of the same. Lots of couch surfing, moving around, working. I was always working. And, you know, every time things started to kind of get better, they like got worse again. So at the end of my first year of university, my mom was arrested. I have family members who've been arrested before. I'm not like a stranger to like that system, but my mom had never been. And she was actually in like an abusive situation, and it was self-defense. And my sister and I had planned to go get her the next day. So it was heartbreaking. I was like in the middle of exams. I had finally just gotten a sublet. I think it was only a 2-month sublet, but that felt like I had my own space, you know? It was like a 1-bedroom, or it was just me. There was no like dorm partner or whatever. And yeah, oh, sorry about the mic. I just kind of went into that mode, like caretaker mode, because my mom had burned all of her bridges with everyone else. And so I worked extra, and I paid her canteen, and I bussed like an hour to see her on Saturday mornings. Got in trouble for missing the first part of work, you know, because I'd have to wait for a while for the visit, which was like only 20 minutes. And sometimes, depending on like whether or not the guards were pissed off or not, she would just not have visitation. And then I would bus back to work. Every Saturday I tried to go. So yeah, so I always forget how hard it was, because at the time I just kind of like had to do these things, right? And so it didn't feel like that big of a deal. It was like shitty, but it was what it was. Yeah, I mean, I had to take time off school because my dad's family had too much money to like let me have OSAP, and the condition was I had to be in contact with my abuser in order to have my education helped out with. So I was like, no, not going to do that, you know. So I took time off school, worked, and I'm kind of mixing up the years or whatever, but it's all kind of a blur. I was just like, you know, working a bunch of jobs, trying to do a full-time university degree to get to the other side, whatever that means. And yeah, it was just really hard. But actually, I'm kind of in a way grateful that I at least have all these letters back and forth from me and my mom. I don't have mine because she would have had those. I don't know where they went. But yeah, I have all these letters from my mom, and actually she had convinced, I guess, a guard she was friends with or something to let them give me a physical gift because they could only just do paper, basically. And so I wish I still had it. I'm trying to find it, but she made this like Christmas ornament, okay, out of crayons, like melted crayons, tampons, and like cardboard. And it was like this the most intricate ornament you could imagine. Like I have a picture, but It's like there was like a sleigh. Santa was in the sleigh. Like there's all the gifts. It was beautiful, and not just like beautiful considering. It was like I could not believe like that she had done that, and it was so beautiful. My mom's really creative. Yeah, so I guess that time, you know, gave me a lot of records of like positive interactions with my mom. And so I'm really grateful for that. Trying to think what even comes next. It was just, yeah, like throughout university, it was really hard, and I worked a lot. I drank a lot. I got by. Then I got a concussion in 4th year. It was really dumb. I was like excited, and I was wearing like these stupid Steve Madden boots that had no traction, and it was the first snow. And I was coming out of the library, and because I was like, you know, paper writing all night kind of thing, and I was like jumping around with my boyfriend at the time, and I just like fully wiped out and like smacked my head on the ground. Ugh, yeah. And I didn't realize it was a big deal at the time, but all of my mental health stuff like kind of started, or got worse at least, like especially anxiety. So that made finishing my last year of university very difficult. And at the time, people didn't really care about concussions yet. Yeah, I had profs who like scoffed at like me asking for a deferral. And so I ended up having to power through actually, because I couldn't take time off of my retail job because there's no sick days. And I actually lived above here, which is funny. It's like 10 years ago now. And yeah, I just like kind of, I don't know how I did it. I finished university. I finished August 2015. I started my master's September 2015.
So I was going to ask how it felt to finally finish, but I guess it was just continuing.
It was very strange. I think graduating I thought that would be like, you did it, you know, you made it, like things are going to be good now. And I remember like being like, you know, holding my diploma and taking these pictures, and even I look at the pictures now and I don't look happy in them, you know, and I'm just like, oh, like it didn't fix everything. And I was hoping for like this feeling of happiness that would come with like completing the goal, and I didn't have it. And so during the beginning of my master's, you know, a lot of people know that like master's culture is a lot of drinking. And I happened to hang out with heavier drinkers than the average people, and they became really close friends, and I just, yeah, became an alcoholic. I probably was before that, but that was like, you know, when I started drinking every day. And if anybody like said anything about it, I was like, I'm just chilling, like I'm in my 20s, you know, what's the big deal? But I guess that's how I was coping. I'm trying to think, this is going to be too long if I go chronologically.
I think it's whatever you feel is important to your story. Like, to me, where I'm at right now is, this is such a knife's edge for anybody, but this moment in your life where you've gone through so much already to get to something that you, like, it's an idolization almost of like, yes, there's this segmentation that happens once you get a diploma from a university, especially. My parents, like, I went to college. My parents were very strong, because I was the oldest, before I had gone, of losers go to college, you have to go to university to succeed in life. Mm-hmm. So to do all, and like I said, to go through so much and then to get this goal that you really wanted, and I'm sure thought about so many times, like, oh, like that, when that day comes, like that's, like you said, that's it, it'll switch, and to have that not happen, and then you know, we're going into now with the drinking, it's like I feel like for anybody this is life defining, this moment. And we're talking right now. Are you happy? You seem happy. Happy
now? Yeah, I'm definitely happy now. Took a lot.
How did you get out of that? Like how?
It took me a long time. It definitely got worse before it got better. I quit drinking a couple times. But I did it for like health reasons. I didn't think I had an issue.
Well, like what? Like health reasons in terms of.
Like I was going. There was a time in 2018 where I was like a gym rat.
Okay.
So I was like doing personal training 3 times a week and living with my dad and like going to therapy. And
can't drink if you're doing that.
Yeah, and I had quit smoking also for like a whole year. So I was like, oh, addiction doesn't affect me because I can just stop whenever I want to. And I did somehow. I'm not sure how or why. And then I started again. When I started dating someone new, and life just 2019 was just like, my mom died in 2019. So like what I didn't get into when I was talking about my childhood is like throughout my high school years, I had to like resuscitate my mom many times. And I was always kind of the person she would call or message when she was going to attempt. And so it wasn't something I was unfamiliar with. I was like, honestly, sometimes I was annoyed. I was like, seriously, like, you know, I didn't understand it. I hadn't been there. And a lot of people don't understand depression in a real way. And I was just like, you know, like, if you want to, then why are you still around, you know? And which is such a shitty take.
No, but there's also everyone has a limit, right? And even today with so much, it's like there's a maximum amount that someone can carry, and at some points, because like people say things that, you know, in the moment, right, that you reflect on later, and you're like, oh, how could I ever say that? And it's just it happens, you know, that's life.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, it's okay. Yeah, so I was actually doing so well because of that kind of like healing year, 2018, where I was like really into my spirituality, like fitness in general, like just feeling good. And it took me that long to recover from like hanging out with that friend group so much. And yeah, like it was brutal. I just remember because I had like unplugged my phone. I was like, oh, I'm just gonna have a nice morning. Like, I had a fun night with my friend last night. We didn't drink, and like just take a shower, listen to music, whatever. And then I turn my phone on, and I have like a bunch of texts from my mom's friend saying like, oh, it's serious. You got to come to the hospital. And yeah, like I didn't really think that it would be real, you know? And I remember just going to the hospital, and my mom had been married and remarried and changed her name many times, like from Julie to Julia, back to Julie, then Julie Marie. And so there was like a million, I actually have a poem about this, but there was a million names that it could have been under. And so I just remember standing at the info desk thinking like, what the fuck is happening? And having to like list off every name that I could think of to try to figure out where she was in the hospital. And then I'm like in the doorway of her room, and like there's like tubes everywhere, and like it looks bad, you know? And the doctors basically told me right away that like she wasn't gonna make it. And I think I was like, you know, dissociated or something, but I was like, okay, we'll just unplug everything. And luckily my partner at the time was with me and was like, you need to call your sister, don't do that. Like, and yeah, so, it was really hard. Like, she was alive for a week in the hospital. And she wasn't like, you know, coherent for any of it. And we just stayed there the whole time. There was like a family room and slept on the floor. And that's actually shortly after I got into beading. And so I was beading the whole time. One of my good friends, Cole, brought me like a bunch of beadwork supplies, and I was working on this butterfly. And that's what got me through like the whole week. I pretty much did the whole thing while I was there, and I was like kind of avoiding being in that room, so I was like in the waiting room doing that. And yeah, probably like the worst week of my worst week of my life, probably.
Top 3.
Yeah, top 3. And there was just like so much that came with it. Sorry. Because I usually worry about other people before me, right? And I was just really worried about my brothers. Because like we all separately had like, you know, different relationships with my mom. And one of my brothers was in prison at the time, so he couldn't be there. And the other brother kept missing his flight because he was like too fucked up. And yeah, like I was worried for a reason, and it happened, right? So like my brother came, and I just like remember like how painful it was to like, because she had died like during the day, and we were trying to get him to come before she died, and when he got there she was dead. And I just like, you know, well, maybe you don't know, but it's just like so painful. And then like the noise people make when they like are in such grief is just like haunting. And I just was so worried about him and what was going to happen. And then that's Justin. He got better. Like he was doing better for a while. Like we all wanted like his friends to keep an eye on him and stuff. And I mean, I'm fast forwarding a lot, but then he passed away in 2021. And I was like, yeah, I was like, what the fuck? Like, seriously, you know? And just like the impact and like the ripple it has on everyone. And I had a really like special relationship with him. He was in prison for many years, but he always like called me and never forgot a birthday or a holiday. And he's just like a big like happy guy, and he was just like everyone's best friend. Like his spirit name was Good Friend. And he would just like act like everything's normal, you know. He would like call and be like, hey, what's going on? Oh, you're seeing a new guy? Like, oh, do I have to like, you know, check him out or whatever? And it was just so funny. And he was always like, okay, you got to go to law school, be a lawyer, so that I could help like my brothers because they're always getting into trouble. But yeah, so I had this like really beautiful relationship with him. I didn't really get to spend a lot of time with my siblings as a kid just because of the back and forth and some complicated things with my brothers and stuff. But I did spend some more time with Justin than I did with Jonathan. And he, like, the problem for me is that like my mom and Justin were like two people that like really loved me, and they really like were rooting for me all the time, and like they were proud of me no matter what I did. They like cared, they checked in, you know. Like one of the last voice notes I have from Justin is like him talking about how he ran into somebody who was looking for earrings, and do I have any earrings ready to like sell, because he can make the connection for me. And like I ran into him on the street at one point. I was trying to go off my my medications. And I was like having such a bad day, and then all I hear is Kaytlyn from like across the street, and he's like huge. Like he was like, I think he was like 6'5", I want to say 5. Anyway, he was very tall, definitely taller than me. And I just remember hugging him, and it was just like exactly what I needed. And he didn't really say anything, didn't have any like opinions or advice. He was just kind of like, I believe in you, you're going to be fine, like gives me a hug and, move on. And that was kind of how it was. Like he was like always walking around Centertown, always like downtown. And so I would just run into him all the time. So that was really hard at the beginning because I couldn't walk down Bank Street without thinking like, oh, like I'm going to run into him. So 2021, I was like, you know what? I wonder what the hype is all about. And so I got into some heavier stuff. And I didn't get addicted right away. And I just kept doing it. At first it was like fun with friends, and I would convince people to go out more often to do it, and I would pay for it and everything. And, and then fast forward a little bit, and then I'm doing like lines on my coffee table, by myself, doing nothing and not even feeling good. And so things really got away from me. And I'm lucky that like I always put a lot of effort into my friendships and my family relationships. So I had that kind of support. It had started to fall off, which was kind of like red flags for me. And I didn't want to have that kind of relationship with my family because I was on the other end of it before. So yeah, I kept trying to stop by myself, and then I ended up going to treatment. And that was in February 2024. Yeah, so a lot of stuff happened in between, of course, but I'll just finish telling the addiction part of the story, I guess. So I went to rehab in Windsor. I didn't want to run into high school people or something like that if I went in Ottawa. And it was like a trauma-informed place, and it was a great place. And it was like a 5-week program, 2 roommates, just wild, like high school, but like to the umpteenth level, because you have like 25 like varying levels of mentally ill people coming off of whatever. So it was very chaotic, and I almost left a couple times because it was just like so much drama, and when you're in it you like feel like it's so real. But no, I stayed till the end. And I don't know how long it's been now. It's over a year.
It's over a year, yeah.
Yeah, so February 5th is my sobriety date.
Congratulations.
Thanks. And yeah, well, the funny thing is when I went in, I did not think I had a drinking problem.
Interesting.
I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna only drink now.
Yeah.
It'll be fine, You
said that at one of the meetings.
Yeah, well, I said that to my therapist before I went in, and I said that at the beginning. And I quickly realized, like, okay, the problem goes way back, and like it's understandable given how much I had to go through, that I was always pushing my feelings down, and then finding a really easy way to do that, and that became very helpful for me until it wasn't. And now I have to actually feel things, which is kind of a bummer. But in contrary to my previous belief, feelings do actually pass. And instead of, feeling bad and ruining my night and week and month and relationship, I can actually just be sad for 45 minutes and then, be fine. So yeah,
Be less sad anyway.
Yeah. So yeah, here I am.
You've been through so much.
Yeah, that's not even like, that's like a tiny bit.
A small bit.
Yeah.
You're how old?
32.
Like, you've been through more than a lot of people will like bad times than a lot of people will experience in their whole lives. How are you? How are you? How are you now? Like, how do you feel? I don't know. I look at your art and I think it's so beautiful and colorful and very expressive. I love your earrings that you're wearing right now.
Thank you.
I feel like your energy is like very like not hurt. Like I would like. I don't know. How are you? Tell me. Tell me.
I mean, like, it's still hard to talk about these things. A lot less hard than it has been before, just because I've like had time to process and everything. Like generally in life, I feel great. I feel it's like I'm on the up and up. Because I had been doing my business, like beadwork full time, in 2019 and end of 2019 and 2020. I had kind of like picked back up into the business, or started because I started the business after my mom passed away. And so around 2021 was when I was finally like, doing really well. And I was like on a podcast, and I'd been interviewed, and I like released this Heartbreaker collection, which was like massive. Like I had like duplicates, like I had like 10 pairs of the same earrings and stuff, and things sold out in like 2 days. And I was like, okay, this is actually possible. And then Justin had passed away. And then because I wasn't sober, I don't bead when I'm not sober. Right. So it was very difficult to find time to bead when I wasn't drunk or hungover, etc. And for a while, I really felt like, I need to go do something else because beading isn't my thing, and I messed it up. I don't know, I tend to be hard on myself, but there was a point where I realized, like I was actually doing really well before this happened, and maybe I can pick back up where I was, because the reason I had started doing art as a business was, largely connected to like disability and mental illness and stuff, and wanting to have my own schedule, and do this thing that I love, and have that like sustain my life. So I guess when I got out of treatment last year, let me backspace. What was the question?
Well, we're just talking about sort of how you are now coming out of
all of that.
What would break a lot of people, What
Yeah.
would really, like we said before, you were at a point. It's a fine edge, and so many people can slip off that. I don't know, bad side is probably too simplistic, but a lot of people can fall into like far worse despair, and I feel like you went the other way, and I wanted to know how you are, and how you feel, because I like I said, I feel like a lot of that stuff is things that most people can't even imagine, and to have so much of it so early, and the world is already a hard place. We talked about that before any of this. So I don't know, because I want to go into your creativity, and I want to go back to the butterfly. I think there's something incredibly beautiful there, but I just wanted to ask, because I know people will want to know. I know a lot of people care about you, and how are you now?
I feel really good. I feel like I have no desire to relapse ever. And I feel like I have a lot of tools like that I've learned, and I've always had this like streak in me that like I want to be better. And maybe that came from like a childhood place of shame and stuff like that, but it has been something that's really like kept me going, where like I always want to self-improve. And I've finally kind of got to a place where I'm like simultaneously like able to have compassion for myself for where I am at, and also know that like I can just continue to try to do better. And yeah, I've repaired most of the relationships that were damaged by like my decisions. And I have great friends, and surprisingly have great relationship with all of my family pretty much. And yeah, I get stressed and overwhelmed, but I seem to be better able to handle it. Because for a while I was always frustrated at myself for getting overwhelmed over little things when I could handle so much before. But it turns out the cumulative effect, you know, because I'm like, how could I deal with that, like, and just be totally chill? And then now, like, I have too long of a to-do list, and I'm like, oh my God, fight or flight.
What do they say about the straw on the camel's back?
Yeah, it's like the camel's back is very full. And yeah, I'm happy. I actually realized that in therapy yesterday, because my therapist was like, when's the last time you were depressed? And I was like, I mean, I've been sad, like I've had sad moments, but it's actually been a while. I don't know. I think maybe like at least a month where I haven't been, you know, hopeless feeling. Like that's the hard one, is like it's hard to do things when you feel like nothing has a point. Ivy. And I'm excited that it's spring, and I didn't expect the workshop thing to go so well.
You sold out, right?
Yeah, like I think every time, yeah. So the idea behind the workshops originally was like mainly so that I could stop doing small beadwork and I could start like focusing on like larger projects, and get away from having to make stuff to sell, because that was really impacting my creativity before. So like it would, you know, I would take a whole bunch of orders for like the same pair of earrings, and I'm like, it's not an easy thing to do. And, you know, making 10 pairs of the same earrings is like, it kind of takes the fun out of it. And so like beadwork is super meditative, and I love it. And I also love making whatever I want to make. So I was just focusing so much on like, oh, what will people buy, you know? And it turns out it actually works better when I just make what I want to make, and people do actually want to buy that. But it's hard to get that opinion out of your head. So yeah, that's how the workshop started, and I actually loved doing it. So I was really nervous at first. I thought it was gonna be super hard because I'm not really good at speaking in front of an audience, except for like, you know, on my phone. But it's nothing like, you know, university seminars, where like everyone else knows the same stuff as you, and they're trying to challenge you, and you know, you just read the thing last night and don't have developed opinions. With beadwork, it's like there actually isn't really a question that you're going to ask me that I don't either know or know how to find out. And that felt really good. So I had my first workshop, and I was so anxious until I got there, and then I just wasn't anxious at all. And it was easy and fun and nice to share with people, and
felt good.
Yeah. So now I like doing that. I'm going to start doing smaller sized workshops, just because 25 doesn't sound like a lot of people.
It's a lot. That's a high school classroom.
Yeah, I know. And
maybe
then
not these days. Maybe it's like 10 lessons these days. But
yeah,
that's a high school classroom.
Yeah, and it's like, yeah. So I'm going to do a little bit smaller. Oh, sorry. Yeah, so the idea was to supplement income, so I can pay my rent with the workshops and then do whatever I want for art. And so I'm still in the phase of trying to get the workshop like down pat, like in terms of how like all the prep work before. It's like a lot more than you would think. Just like making those cute little kits and all of that. And I've started getting hired for contracts and stuff, so pretty cool.
Tell me about your creativity.
Creativity?
Yeah.
I've just always been creative in a bunch
since
of
the
ways.
laminated cards.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, I like making things. I think when I was a kid, it was like, I would make stuff for people to make them happy. So that was nice. And, like I remember I actually used to like have this like giant beading kit, with like mermaid beads and stuff. And I would make like necklaces and stuff. And as I got older, I would like, make like, I made my cousin this like friendship bracelet set that was like a bracelet, a necklace, a belt, like a full, anyway. So I've always liked doing crafts and stuff like that. And I've always been aware of and immersed in my culture. Like I just want to make it clear that I didn't learn beadwork and then try to reconnect. I've experienced a lot as a result of my family's like lineage. And I got to participate in culture and all those things early. I just didn't learn how to bead till later. I've always drawn and stuff, paint. I don't know. What do you want to know about creativity?
I want to know everything about your creativity, but I want to touch on the idea that your mom's still alive through your creativity. Mm-hmm. Like, I feel that like is a very strong line in the story that you told me, where she was someone who always encouraged you, someone who only wanted you to like succeed in things, basically, like was just really happy whenever you would do these little creative things. And sounds like she was pretty creative herself. I don't know, what do you think about that?
Yeah. Sorry, I got shivers.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
I do think that is the case. Like I do think that like she actually wanted to teach me how to bead because she had learned how to bead recently, and some crazy stuff happened and she wasn't able to, and I learned from a friend. But the funny thing is my butterfly that I made, I used like specific beads. Okay, I used orange, white, black, and then another kind of orange that was like shiny. Later, when I was going through her stuff, I found like a bag of her beading, and she only had those colors. And I'm like, how the like, just wild. So I'm just like, I don't even remember why I picked a butterfly, and yeah.
I feel like very appropriate though.
Yeah. So in terms of like my creativity, yeah, I definitely am moving in that kind of direction where I don't, like I said, I want to like make from the heart. And I think that really started with when I made these. I made these when I was in treatment because I had never made myself anything on purpose. I always would just take, if I broke a bead on an earring or something, I would take those. And so these are really special to me, and kind of like I think like a turning point of, doing beadwork that I want to do, based on like, a deeper like feeling. And just kind of like owning like the intentionality that sometimes I've rejected before. Like I used to have like a lot of judgment about spirituality and stuff. Actually I'm working on a potentially, not like, it's not for real yet, but an exhibit that I want to do, and it's all about my mom actually. So if that happens, when that happens, manifest, that will be like kind of me doing like almost like a full circle.
I was literally thinking that.
Yeah. Like, so like what I'm envisioning is like, like a long kind of hallway, and as you're walking down the hallway, it's going from like, kind of like troubling memories. And then as you get deeper and deeper, it's going to be like all the happy memories and like, and the love and like the realness that was there. Because, a lot of negativity or negative things that happened between my mom and I were as a result of, her father being a residential school survivor. She had
it's
like,
generational.
Yeah. And like the amount of like abuse and trauma that she experienced in her life, just like it puts mind to like, it looks like nothing, And so I feel like as I've grieved over the last, I guess, 5 years, it'll be 6 years in August, my grief has changed, and I feel like I'm able to love my mom more fully, and like I wish that I could know her now, because like I feel like I am a different person, but I also wouldn't be this different person if she had stayed. And so I think, yeah, the idea is that I don't think my mom was a bad person. I think she was a wonderful person, and she was funny, and she like was the life of the party, like just like big smiles, and so good with children. And she was a really good mom when I was like a kid, and I miss her a lot. But yeah, so I think I'm able to understand the picture, like the big picture of things, and know that like she always really did want the best for her children. And when she couldn't do it, she tried to put me somewhere where I could be safe, you know. Unfortunately, that place was also unsafe, but she really did do everything she could. She just couldn't do more, and everyone has their capacity, so. Yeah.
And everyone has their pain.
Sorry?
Everyone has their pain also.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel very fortunate to be alive right now in a time where people give a shit about what I have to say, intergenerational trauma, mental health. Like, the thing that makes me so sad is I don't think that she could have found somebody who she could actually have conversations about these things with in a real way. Being on ODSP, not being able to access therapy, those kinds of things. Like, who is she going to talk to? Like, boomers don't give a shit about feelings most of the time, you know? They're like, oh yeah, just like go back to work a week after somebody dies, which I did. I don't recommend. And yeah, so that's something that I wish that she had, or that I could be for her, but I feel like she's more of a parent now. Like, instead of suffering, she's like here for me, you know?
What do you hope your art creates or does, or what feelings it evokes? What do you hope for the stuff that you put out there? We're getting a call.
Sorry, terrible
okay.
timing.
It's okay. No, it's totally fine.
Oh gosh.
I don't even know if we'll hear it on the thing.
Okay.
The Alexa is like yelling at us right now.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
So yeah, what do you hope your art like puts out in the universe, basically? Because I think everyone who creates something, that's like you want to sell your art because we have to make money to live right now. But I don't think anyone who like creates art does it without like an intentionality behind it.
Yeah.
I really believe that. So what's your intention?
My intention with like the art that I'm hoping to make is I guess to connect. Like, I mean, I didn't realize my following on Instagram didn't come from people liking my art. It did later. But it came like because people were shocked at the level of authenticity and vulnerability that I would share like on my stories all the time, with, you know, going through those periods of grief and stuff like that. So I feel like in some ways that's what I intend to bring to like my work. The first time I did the like hide earrings, they're rectangular, that had like cedar on them. I did that. That was inspired by Justin, because we were in Sweat Lodge following his death, and cedar is like a main part of that. Yeah, like I think I stopped myself for a while from like, you know, explaining what the meaning was behind things, because I'm like, oh, like I'm being cringe. And it's like, what the hell is cringe? Like, oh my gosh, like it's just real, you know? And I hope to just like be myself, and to be real and be vulnerable. And I hope that people can connect with that. And my goal now is to let that happen and not worry about what I should do to make a connection with somebody. Because I think that's when I get away from my creativity and I get into like capitalist, like weird mode, you know? And my art, like I really think that butterfly like saved me. I don't know what I would have done during that time. And sorry, I'm like getting shivers again.
No, it's okay. At first you told me that, I was like, that's kind of incredible. Like, yeah.
I know, it's just, yeah, it's incredible. Yeah, I hope people like relate to different things, you know, and know that like things can get better. Like I used to be one of those people who would just be like, fuck you. Like when people are like, you know, things get better, or like this too shall pass, all that stuff. It's like, I've been there, and like I promise you, like feelings last like an hour. Like you can get through an hour, just distract, you know, and over time it gets better. And just keep going, because like you can't take it back, you know. So I think that's what I hope. I hope that people are being real themselves, you know?
Yeah, well, and I often end these things, I think always, by asking people what they would tell the world. But you kind of just did that. But I don't know if there's anything, like, no, I just think that was like, I almost didn't want to say anything because I'm like, man, that's such a perfect, but then I decided I would ruin it, just to see if I could, like, just if there's anything else you wanted to tell people, you have a platform, you can tell them right now. Just anything you want to say to the world that you think might help it be a better place. And like I said, you already have given a lot, so don't feel you have to, but just I want to give you the option if you have something else.
Yeah, I think I would just, it's kind of the same kind of thing. Like connection is like, well, for me, connection with other people is like the point of life. And sometimes when we get far away from like happiness, it can be really hard to reach for that connection, and that's the thing that makes life worth living. And so yeah, connect with people, reach out. Like we're all here to help each other, and you probably have more in common with people than you'd think. So yeah, it sounds cheesy, but I guess that's my thing now.
Thanks for being cheesy. I really appreciate you.
Thank you.